Howdy folks. So I just finished these two bows. They were a project kind of together that was inspired in part by a discussion online about what does it mean primitive bow. And one school of thought is that it depends on the materials and the ways in which you form the materials, namely that it's one single piece of wood, it's natural. Everything, all the materials you use are natural. Another school of thought is that it's natural materials, but it's also a design that comes from a primitive culture, like a pre-industrial revolution culture. And so I did these two primitive bows that are sort of on the opposite ends of the primitive spectrum. Just to compare, they're made out of the same kind of wood, white oak, harvested at the same time. They're both also sort of experiments in fast drying techniques. So it was only 3 months ago or less that I harvested this wood, and now it should be hopefully a fully dried wood for the bow. So they're pretty much finished. After this shooting today, I'll do a final tiller check and possibly make some final adjustments, and then just final touches, and they're done. And today we're going to shoot them both side by side and see how they compare to each other. So the two bows are this pretty big pyramid flat bow. I'll get the exact specs, width and length and everything, and put it in the description of the video. But it's a big bow. It's heavy. It's nearly as tall as I am, and it's about 2 inches wide at the risers, and it's got this kind of pistol grip and arrow rest that I like to make if I have enough wood. It really feels nice in your hand. Just fits someone who has like a medium-sized hand like me very well. These little brushes that I put in there of natural fiber, it's agave fiber that I collected just in my neighborhood. And no recurve or anything, pretty straightforward. It's already taken about 1.5 inches of set. And we shot it a couple times, me and my friends, and we all kind of agreed that it felt really good to shoot, like it's smooth and accurate. And the other bow, this little guy, this little girl, I should say, because her nickname is Twisted Sister. She was a pair of siblings from the same quarter log, and the other one broke, so she's the only survivor. But as you can see, she's twisted, curvy, and this is a bend through the handle bow. It has no handle to speak of. I just burned a little stripe there just to show you where to put the arrow. I would hold it right underneath there. Center line's about right here, and just bends through the hand. It's like one long limb. And this, some people would consider more primitive or truly primitive, because it's a design that comes from primitive cultures. It's very simple. It's what you would make with very primitive tools, like stone tools. And it's very elegant, actually, in its simplicity. So those are our two bows. Yeah. Whoa, do you see that? Oh, nice. 4, 5. So 95 paces. So that's 190 feet approximately. But these first arrows went. 910, 2, 3, 4, 5. 115 paces, so 230 feet to the target. 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5. So about 250 feet approximately that these furthest arrows went. I think that was the super primitive short bow. Okay, so just shot these bows a bunch of times, and they shot really well. It's interesting because well, the bigger bow seems to be more accurate. At least it's easier for a beginner shooter like me to be accurate. The little bow, it was tricky. It was hard for me to be accurate because it seemed like it sort of bounced off the side of the bow a little bit. But I feel like if I learned how to use this, if I really got the feel of it, I could improve and get better. Meanwhile, I shot for distance as well, and so the little bow shot a little bit further. When I went for max distance, it shot 250 feet. And this bow shot about 15, 18 feet less distance. But this bow, the bigger bow, actually hit the target from 200 feet away. I mean, just the edge of the target, but still, it was pretty cool. So the little bow actually has more power to this big bow, but this big bow seems to be more accurate. So last step, I'm gonna take these home and do one more tiller check and check the poundage on them, and then they're pretty much done. .41 pounds at 28 inches. .49 pounds at 26 inches. Okay, so we got these bows back home and I did a draw weight test on them. As you saw, the long bow came in at 41 pounds at 28 inch draw, and the short bow came in at 49 pounds at 26 inch draw. So, oh, and the length is 69 inches for the long bow, 1 3/4 inch across at the widest point. The short bow is 55 inches long and 1 1/4 inch across at the middle. So it's really interesting because this big bow, it does seem to be more easy to shoot accurately, and it feels really good in your hand, and it's smooth, but it weighs so much more than this little bow. And this little bow actually has more power. You know, one aspect of that is that the wood is being strained less on this big bow that has a little bit less draw weight, and this wood is being strained a lot when you pull it back. So I don't know if that means that this one is going to have a longer life than that one, but it's really interesting to think about because, well, I don't know much about hunting, but I do know about hiking around the woods and mountains all day, and I know, like, after a couple hours, it would make a difference, the weight that you're carrying around with this one versus this one. So that makes me wonder that, you know, previously I thought that a bow like this, the way that someone might have made this, you know, back in the day, would be because they had primitive tools, primitive culture, primitive tools, and so a simple primitive design. But now I'm wondering if, you know, that there's a wisdom in the ancient ways beyond that, because this is so sleek and elegant and simple and efficient for the amount of weight that you're carrying around, you know, with you. This has so much power. So I don't know, I really do enjoy making these really nice pistol grips with the brushes and everything, but this project has caused me to reconsider the usefulness of this truly primitive bow, primitive in material as well as design.